What sorrow awaits you teachers of religious law and you Pharisees? Hypocrites! You are careful to tithe even the tiniest income from your herb gardens, but you ignore the more important aspects of the law: justice, mercy, and faith. You should tithe, yes, but do not neglect the more important things. Now, I read for you the very lengthy scripture passage for this morning, that one whole verse, Matthew 23:23. And in this single passage, we get to see two groups with a conflicting definition of success. The Pharisees had one definition of what it meant to be successful. Jesus had a different one. Now, this is not the sermon for today, but I'm going to throw this one in for free. If you are defining success in some way differently than Jesus is, I highly recommend you reevaluate your priorities. But in this thing, Pharisees on one hand, Jesus on the other. So how did the Pharisees define faithfulness? And according to this verse that I read, they define faithfulness as tithing. Now, the New Living Translation, which is the translation I like, and that's what I read for you here this morning, kind of cleans this verse up a little bit more than they should have. If you go back to the original language, what Jesus says here is that the Pharisees are so careful to give every little bit of mint, dill, and cumin from their herb gardens. So what Jesus was saying is, look, you're down pulling spices out of your herb garden, and even out of this little bit of spices that you get, you take 10% of that and give it to the church, and you call that faithfulness. And at that point, we're finished. We're done. That's how the Pharisees were defining success and what they were doing. They gave their 10%. I'm good. And on the surface, that does resemble faithfulness. To be so meticulous that you tithe your 10%, meaning you pull that mint plant out of the ground, you take 9 leaves off and put them in your pile, and you take 1 off and put it in God's pile. 10%. They felt like they had succeeded in what God had asked them to do. They gave their 10%. Now they are the most faithful people around. Far more faithful than these plebes and normies down in the temple who are, asking for God's forgiveness or something like that. We're way better than them. That's what they decided. But Jesus was challenging that definition of success. He says, you haven't completely accomplished what you set out to do. Sure, it's a great start. Tithing is great. Necessary step in faithfulness. But giving God 10% of what you have, that's not the ultimate goal. Jesus says that your offerings, as valuable, necessary, and important as they are, do not represent total success. And I know how much all you folks love sports analogies, so let me give you one here. Tithing is first down, not a touchdown. Jesus said, telling them that their definition of success was off, he says, you guys need to go back and rethink this. You're a good start, but you're not there.